You wake up, and before your feet even touch the floor, there's already a weight. Maybe it's in your chest, maybe it's behind your eyes, maybe it's just a quiet resistance in your bones, a feeling that today might take more effort than it used to. You shuffle to the bathroom, splash water on your face, catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror, not defeated, but not quite yourself either. The spark you used to count on, that natural drive, the rhythm that once moved you through your day. It's quieter now. Not gone, just dimmed. You tell yourself it's age, that it's normal, that slowing down is part of the deal. But deep down, something doesn't sit right with that answer. I want to offer you another possibility, one rooted not in miracle cures or empty promises, but in something far more personal, your biology. Because what I've seen again and again in my practice is that when men hit their 60s, it's not just time that changes. It's how the body holds on to what keeps it running. You can eat the same foods, get the same amount of sleep, even follow the same routines. But the fuel doesn't seem to reach the engine the way it used to. You feel it in the slowness of your step, in the yawns that come mid-morning, in the way you watch your wife talking and realize you're struggling to stay engaged. Not because you don't care, but because something inside feels flat. This isn't about disease. This isn't about weakness. It's about depletion. Subtle, silent, steady. And the good news? It's reversible. Frank didn't believe that at first. 67, retired mechanic, hands still stained with years of grease and grit. He walked into my office not because of pain or panic, but because his wife insisted he get checked out. He's just not himself, she told me quietly in the hallway. He's tired all the time. He's grumpy. I don't know if it's depression or something else, but he's different. When I asked Frank how he was doing, he shrugged. I don't know, he said. Feels like I've got fuel in the tank, but the engine won't turn over. I'm sleeping fine, I think. But I get winded just getting the mail. And I'm not as sharp upstairs, you know? He tapped his temple. Feels like fog. Now, Frank didn't have diabetes. No major heart issues. He wasn't on a dozen medications, but something was missing. And that missing piece was something I've seen too many times in men his age. His body wasn't broken. It was just underpowered. Like a strong machine whose spark plugs were misfiring. So we looked deeper. Not just at blood pressure or cholesterol, but at what I call the silent trio. The three nutrients that quietly run the show behind the scenes. The ones that get ignored in most standard checkups, but that carry enormous weight when it comes to how you feel, move, and function every day. See, after 60, your digestive system doesn't absorb nutrients the way it did at 40. Your stomach produces less acid, your kidneys filter things differently, and years of medications, even common ones like acid reducers or statins, can drain essential vitamins without you knowing it. What that means is your cells start running on less. They work harder to do the same job. And just like an engine low on oil, performance drops, not catastrophically, but inch by inch. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever stood at the bottom of a flight of stairs and debated whether it was worth the climb? Not because of pain, but because of effort. Have you ever read the same paragraph 3 times and still not remembered it? Or sat in your favorite chair and felt like it took too long to want to get up again? That's not laziness. That's not aging. That's biology asking for something it's missing. One of those things, maybe the most important of the 3, is vitamin B12. Think of B12 like the ignition system in your body's engine. It doesn't create energy, but without it, nothing starts. It supports your nerves, your memory, your ability to focus, even the way your muscles respond to movement. Without enough of it, you can feel foggy, tired, unsteady. Most men don't realize how common B12 deficiency is, especially after 60. It hides, it builds slowly, and because it affects both mind and body, it gets mistaken for just getting older. Frank's levels were borderline low, not enough to trigger alarms, but enough to explain why he felt like he was operating in slow motion. The thing is, your stomach needs a special protein, called intrinsic factor, to absorb B12. As you age, you make less of it. And if you're on medications like metformin or PPIs, the absorption drops even more. You could be eating steak and eggs every morning and still be starving for B12 at the cellular level. When we gave Frank a small weekly dose, not a megadose, just enough to refill the tank, something shifted. Not overnight, but within 3 weeks, he was waking up earlier, making coffee for his wife again. His speech had more life in it. "It's weird," he told me during a follow-up. "I didn't realize how off I was until I started feeling like myself again." That moment with Frank, when he recognized he'd been running on empty without even realizing it, is more common than most men know. The body has a way of adapting to deficiency, silently recalibrating its baseline so that off becomes the new normal. You get used to dragging through the day, brushing off the fatigue, telling yourself it's just what happens with age. But inside, the body is sending signals, subtle ones at first. A missed morning erection, less interest in activities you used to enjoy, that creeping fog that blurs your thoughts by midday. These are not signs of failure or weakness. They are messages from your biology asking for something essential. I remember another patient, Carl, who was in his early 70s when he came to see me. Carl was a proud man, a former carpenter with hands roughened by decades of work and a smile that rarely faded. But beneath his steady exterior, he was quietly struggling. He told me one afternoon, almost embarrassed, that he noticed his mornings had changed. "I used to wake up with, well, he said, hesitating. "Now it's different. It's like the spark isn't there anymore, and that worries me." Carl wasn't just referring to physical changes, but to something deeper, a sense that his vitality was slipping away, piece by piece. What many men don't realize is that changes in sexual health, like diminished morning erections, often reflect underlying shifts in overall health, particularly in circulation and hormonal balance. These changes aren't simply normal aging to be accepted quietly. They're windows into how well your body is functioning at the cellular level. Often, they're among the earliest signs that vital nutrients are missing or out of balance. In Carl's case, tests revealed a borderline deficiency in vitamin B12, much like Frank's. But more than that, his magnesium levels were low, which was contributing to muscle cramps and restless nights, a feedback loop that drained his energy further. We started a tailored regimen focusing on replenishing those nutrients gently, combined with small lifestyle adjustments to improve his sleep and circulation. What happened next wasn't immediate, but it was steady. Over weeks, Carl noticed his morning routine changed. Subtle at first, but unmistakable. His body began to respond again. He told me he felt lighter getting out of bed, more connected to his day. The spark, once thought lost, started flickering again, and with that returned a confidence that radiated beyond the bedroom, into his relationships, his mood, his very sense of self. Biologically, this all makes sense. Vitamins like B12 and minerals like magnesium play crucial roles in how nerves communicate, how blood vessels dilate, and how hormones signal. When these nutrients run low, it's as if the electrical wiring inside the body becomes frayed, leading to weaker signals and diminished function. Replenishing them repairs that wiring, restoring the flow of energy in life. It's important to remember, too, that these nutrients don't work in isolation. The body is a network, a finely tuned orchestra, and each part depends on the others playing their role. When one nutrient is missing, the whole symphony can falter. But when the missing pieces are found, even slowly, the music can return. So if you've noticed subtle changes in your energy, your mood, or your body's responses, don't dismiss them. These are not signs that you must give up or resign yourself to a diminished life. They are signals inviting you to listen more deeply, to care for yourself with kindness and intention. In the next sections, we'll explore how other nutrients, alongside thoughtful lifestyle choices, help to rebuild this harmony. How small, consistent acts can add up to renewed vitality, restored confidence, and a life lived fully, no matter the years behind you. That's the power of one deficiency corrected. But it wasn't the whole picture. The next one we looked at was vitamin D. Now, most folks think of D as the bone vitamin. And yes, it plays a role in keeping your skeleton strong, but that's just the beginning. Vitamin D is also deeply tied to testosterone production, immune strength, and even mood regulation. When your vitamin D levels are low, and they often are, especially if you spend more time indoors, wear sunblock, or live in northern climates, your entire hormonal control panel dims. Testosterone dips, muscle starts to waste, the mind feels heavier, and your risk of falling, breaking bones, or battling low-grade depression quietly rises. I see men with sun-kissed skin and outdoor hobbies who still test low for D. Why? Because age reduces the skin's ability to convert sunlight into usable vitamin D. Add in dietary gaps and less time spent outside, and it's a recipe for chronic deficiency. Frank's levels were, again, just low enough to matter. We started him on a modest supplement, nothing excessive, just enough to bring him back into range. And over the next month, his posture changed. He stood taller, he cracked more jokes. His wife said he started humming while shaving again. And this is important. Vitamin D isn't a quick fix. It works like light in a dark room, gradually helping your systems remember what full power feels like. It doesn't hype you up, it restores you. I remember sitting with Frank one morning in my office and asking him how he felt after these changes. He looked out the window for a long moment and said, "It's like someone turned the dial back up. Not to when I was 30, I don't need that, but enough that I feel in gear again." That's what most men are truly missing. Not the body of their youth, but the feeling of movement, focus, and ease. We weren't done yet. The third piece of the puzzle, the quiet conductor behind the scenes, was magnesium. Most men have no idea how essential it is. It's involved in over 300 reactions in the body. It regulates your heartbeat, helps your muscles relax, calms the nervous system, and supports sleep. And yet it gets flushed out by stress, alcohol, sugar, and even some blood pressure meds. You can be eating well and still be low in magnesium. And the symptoms? Cramping, restless legs, tightness in the chest or jaw, anxiety, trouble falling asleep even when you're tired. Frank hadn't mentioned those symptoms at first, but when I asked, he said, "You know, Doc, I do get these weird foot cramps at night, and sometimes I wake up at 3 a.m. for no reason." We added a low-dose magnesium supplement, glycinate, to avoid bowel issues, and within 10 days, the cramps eased. His sleep deepened, and that persistent edge of tension he'd been carrying in his shoulders started to melt. This is what I want to say to you, if you're still with me here. The difference between just getting older and actually feeling alive again might come down to 3 simple things your body is quietly missing. We're not talking about hormone shots or miracle drinks. We're talking about listening closely to the signals your body is sending and giving it what it's been asking for all along. And this is just the beginning, because once those deficiencies are addressed, something remarkable starts to happen. The body doesn't just stop declining, it starts building again. The second half of this story, what happens when you bring rhythm, food, and movement into alignment, is where the real comeback begins. Let's talk about that next. After addressing those key vitamin gaps, the changes in Frank were subtle at first, almost easy to miss if you weren't paying close attention. But anyone who lives with a man knows that the small things can reveal the biggest shifts. He stopped grumbling over the remote control, found himself humming along to the radio again, and started telling stories at the dinner table, stories he'd shelved away for years. What changed inside was more than just chemistry. It was a quiet reconnection with the man he once knew, the one who wanted to live fully, not just get by. You see, when your body has the fuel it needs, vitamin B12 to spark the engine, vitamin D to turn on the lights, and magnesium to keep the orchestra in harmony, you're not just more energetic, your mind sharpens, your mood stabilizes, your muscles don't ache as much. You might find yourself walking a little taller, breathing a little deeper. And all these small shifts add up, creating a momentum that carries you forward day by day. But real vitality is about more than just vitamins. It's about how you carry these changes into your everyday life, the habits, the choices, the way you treat your body and mind with respect. You might think, "I'm too tired to exercise," or "I've never been a morning person." Those thoughts are normal, but the body responds when you begin to move gently, even just a little. Walking outside for 10 minutes, stretching after you wake, or simply standing with better posture can amplify the benefits of those vitamins. Movement wakes up your circulation, improves your mood, and signals to your cells that you're still here, still willing to care for yourself. And here's something important. When you nourish your body properly and move with intention, it sends signals back to your hormones. Testosterone, that vital hormone many men worry about losing, doesn't just vanish overnight. It responds to care. When your vitamin D rises, your magnesium is steady, and your body is moving, your testosterone levels can stabilize or even improve naturally. That slow, steady rhythm can reignite energy and desire in ways that no pill alone can match. It's easy to feel isolated when you're struggling with energy and strength. Friends may not understand why you decline invitations or why you seem less interested in hobbies. You might find yourself withdrawing, shrinking back quietly. But what I want you to know is this: you're not alone, and your body is still capable of so much. It's waiting patiently for the right signals to start building again. Imagine waking up tomorrow with a little more pep in your step. Maybe the fog isn't quite as thick in the morning. Maybe you find yourself smiling more at the little things: your morning coffee, the sunlight through the window, a call from a friend. These small joys aren't reserved for youth. They are yours, waiting to be reclaimed. The journey back to vitality doesn't need to be overwhelming. It starts with curiosity, checking in with yourself, noticing how you feel after small changes. Maybe it's choosing to add a nutrient-rich meal to your day. Maybe it's taking that first walk outside, no matter how short. Maybe it's scheduling a conversation with your doctor to check your vitamin levels. These steps are acts of kindness toward yourself, affirmations that you deserve to feel better. Remember Frank, he didn't overhaul his entire life overnight. He started with small steps, addressing his vitamin deficiencies, adding gentle movement, listening to his body. And bit by bit, he noticed the difference. His wife told me she saw the change first, not just in his energy, but in his spirit. That quiet confidence returned, not because he was suddenly younger, but because he had begun to care for himself in a way that honored his years and his body's needs. You might wonder if it's too late, if these changes can really make a difference after decades of wear and tear. I want to tell you that it's never too late. Your cells remember how to heal, how to grow, and how to thrive when given the chance. This isn't about chasing youth. It's about reclaiming your power in this chapter of life. So today, I invite you to take one small step. Choose one vitamin to explore. Make one new healthy choice. Have one honest conversation with yourself or your healthcare provider. Notice how your body responds, because the path to feeling alive again isn't a sprint. It's a steady, compassionate walk. If this message has resonated with you, consider sharing it with a friend who might need to hear it too. Sometimes the greatest strength comes from community and connection. And if you feel ready, reach out to your doctor about checking your vitamin B12, vitamin D, and magnesium levels. These are simple tests that can open the door to a new chapter of energy and strength. I'm Dr. Michael Hanks, and I believe in your ability to reclaim your vitality, not by force or magic, but by listening, caring, and giving your body the respect it deserves. The spark you're looking for is still inside you. Sometimes it just needs a little help to shine again. Thank you for taking this time for yourself today. Your journey toward renewed energy and strength begins with a single step, and I'm honored to walk with you